Have you ever seen someone hold a letter so tightly that her hands start to shake, not out of fear, but of hope? That was Maria, a 29-year-old nurse from Cebu. For years she worked double shifts in a crowded public hospital, where gloves were reused, beds were scarce, and her smile was the only medicine some patients could afford. She'd often whisper to herself, "Someday, the world will see us, not as helpers, not as migrants, but as healers." Then one humid morning, while waiting for the bus, her phone buzzed. An unknown number. She almost ignored it, until she saw the subject line: Finland Nursing Program, Final Selection. Her heart froze. She opened it, and there it was, one line that changed her life forever. Congratulations, you have been accepted to work in Finland's national healthcare system. For a moment, Maria just stared. The chaos of Manila faded away, the sound of tricycles, the shouting vendors, even the honking jeepneys. Everything went silent. She wasn't sure if she should cry or laugh, so she did both. But behind her, joy came guilt. How could she leave her mother, her little brother still in school, and her patients who called her nurse? That night, as the rain poured outside, Maria sat by the window, holding her acceptance letter under the dim light. She thought of her father, a fisherman who used to say, "The sea doesn't fear the storm, it rides it." And maybe, she thought, that's what she was meant to do, to ride the storm of uncertainty toward a place she'd only seen in pictures, a land of snow, silence, and opportunity. The next morning, she packed her stethoscope, her old nursing cap, and a small piece of her homeland, a rosary her mother gave her, "Para sa protection mo, Anak." At the airport, she whispered a silent promise to herself: "I'll make them see who we are, not just as nurses from the third world, but as the world's healers." As the plane rose above the clouds, Maria looked down at the islands below, shimmering like scattered pearls in the dark sea. She didn't know what awaited her in Finland, but deep inside, she knew. This wasn't just her journey. It was the story of every Filipino nurse who dared to dream beyond the shorelines of home. Soft piano fades. Chapter 1 ends. When Maria stepped out of the airport, the first thing she felt was silence. No honking cars, no street vendors shouting, "Piso lang! Piso lang!" Just the sound of wind, cold, clean, and unfamiliar. It was as if the whole world had stopped to breathe. Snowflakes began to fall, slowly, landing on her coat, her eyelashes, her trembling hands. She had seen snow only in movies, but now it was real, soft, white, endless. She smiled for a moment, then felt a pang in her chest. "Ang layo ko na pala," she whispered. She was now thousands of miles away from the laughter of her home, from her mother's cooking, from the sound of the sea. A Finnish driver held up a card that said, "Nurse Maria Santos." She waved shyly and followed him into a small van. Through the window she saw forests, tall pine trees standing like quiet guardians of the land. After hours of driving, they reached a small town hospital. The building was spotless, quiet, almost sacred. Everything smelled of disinfectant and snow. Her supervisor, Elina, smiled gently. "Welcome to Finland," she said in slow English. Maria bowed a little. "Thank you, ma'am, I'll do my best." But when Elina introduced her to the staff, Maria felt the first wave of fear. Everyone spoke Finnish. Their words sounded like a song she couldn't understand. She tried to smile, but deep down, she felt invisible. During her first shift, a patient asked her something in Finnish. Maria froze. Her mind went blank. She could only reply, "I'm sorry. English, please." The patient looked confused, and in that moment, Maria felt the sting of being foreign, not unwanted, but unseen. That night, she cried in her small dorm room. The snow outside glittered under the moonlight, so beautiful, yet so lonely. She opened her luggage and pulled out the rosary her mother gave her. Holding it tight, she whispered, "Lord, give me strength. I'm not just here for myself. I'm here for every Filipino nurse dreaming to be seen." The next morning, she woke up early. Before the shift began, she stood in front of the mirror, practicing Finnish phrases. "Hyvää huomenta." Good morning. poquitos. Thank you. Antiques. Sorry. The other nurses noticed. They smiled back, and one of them said softly, Maria, your finish is getting better. It was a small compliment, but, for Maria, it felt like sunlight breaking through a long winter night. In that moment, she realized something powerful. Home is not always where you're born. Sometimes, it's where your purpose finds you. As she walked through the hospital corridor, hearing the steady beep of heart monitors, Maria whispered to herself, they called us a third world nation, but maybe the world needs our hearts more than our passports. Soft piano fades. Chapter 2 ends. Weeks passed. The snow outside grew thicker, but inside the hospital something subtle was beginning to warm. Maria had learned enough Finnish to greet her patients, to understand their fears, and to make them laugh, even with her accent. One morning, an elderly patient named Ali refused to eat. He was silent for days, staring at the window, his face pale against the white bedsheets. Other nurses tried, they adjusted his IV, checked his vitals, but Ali didn't respond. Maria walked in quietly, holding a small bowl of soup she made herself in the dorm's tiny kitchen. Good morning, Ali, she said softly. He didn't answer. So she did what came naturally to her. She began humming. A lullaby her mother used to sing back home. The melody was simple, but it filled the room like sunlight through frosted glass. Ali turned his head slowly. Then, for the first time in weeks, he smiled. Maria helped him sit up and whispered, in my country, we believe warmth heals faster than medicine. He nodded gently and took a spoonful. From that day, the other nurses began to notice. The patients who rarely spoke started talking again, because Maria didn't just treat them as cases. She treated them as people. One Finnish nurse, Anak, asked her one day, Maria, why do you always hold your patients' hands? Maria smiled, because sometimes the body needs to feel that someone still cares. Word spread quietly across the wards. Doctors noticed her calm presence, how patients recovered faster when she was on duty. Soon, the hospital board asked her to lead a small empathy workshop for the local staff, to teach the Filipino way of caregiving. At first, Maria hesitated. I'm not a teacher, she said, but Alina, her supervisor, replied, you already are. That day, standing in front of Finnish nurses and doctors, Maria shared stories of overcrowded hospitals in Cebu, of laughter echoing through exhaustion, of faith that never gives up. By the time she finished, there were tears in the room, not because of sadness, but because they had seen what medicine alone could not teach. The power of compassion. As Maria walked home that evening, snowflakes still falling around her, she realized maybe this was why she was brought here. Not just to work, but to remind a nation of silence how to listen again. With the heart. She looked up at the sky and whispered, they called us a third world nation, but maybe our hearts are what the first world has been missing. Soft piano fades. Chapter 3 ends. Dmitry returned to Russia with a karaoke machine tucked in his suitcase, unsure if his family would embrace it. One evening, he set it up after dinner. His family was skeptical, but he started with a familiar Russian song. At first, he sang alone, feeling foolish. Then, his mother joined in, her voice growing stronger. Soon the whole family was singing, laughing, and breaking the usual quiet. Word spread, neighbors joined, and karaoke nights became a weekly event. Russian classics gave way to Manila ballads, sung with clumsy joy. The machine worked its magic, turning strangers into friends. Dmitry's living room became a hub of warmth and laughter. The Filipino spirit of song was taking root. A new tradition was born. The first song in St. Petersburg was only the start. Dmitry's family karaoke went viral when his niece posted a video of her grandfather singing a Filipino love song. The clip charmed the nation. Suddenly, everyone wanted to try. Bars and restaurants updated their karaoke systems, adding Filipino hits. Filipino karaoke nights packed venues with crowds cheering for every singer. The movement spread to small towns. People projected lyrics on walls, forming community singing groups. Karaoke became a new social glue, connecting people across Russia. Online, Russians shared their own Filipino song videos, celebrating cross-cultural joy. The viral chorus amplified a simple message: Singing together feels good. The movement was unstoppable. It was more than entertainment, it was connection. The Filipino spirit was now a Russian anthem. The chorus kept growing. A new genre of social media was born. The joy was contagious. Russia was singing as one. In Siberia, teacher Elena Petrova brought karaoke to her shy students. She introduced them to Filipino pop, writing Tagalog lyrics on the board. The class, once reserved, erupted in laughter and song. Weekly karaoke sessions built confidence and community. The school expanded the program, inspired by the students' transformation. National news covered the story. Children in remote Russia finding warmth through Filipino music. Singing became a bridge, not just to another culture, but to their own feelings. The movement was now a symbol of emotional education. Karaoke taught resilience, empathy, and joy. Even in the coldest places, music brought warmth. The Siberian echo was now a chorus. The story inspired a nation. The power of song was undeniable. The phenomenon caught the attention of diplomats. The Philippine Embassy and Russian organizations launched the Moscow-Manila Music Bridge Festival. In Gorky Park, Russian and Filipino singers shared the stage, blending voices in powerful duets. The crowd sang along, united by music. Media hailed the event as a landmark of cultural friendship. Attendees shared stories of connection and joy. The festival legitimized the karaoke movement, turning it into a recognized cultural bond. Exchange programs and musical collaborations followed. Dimitri's single karaoke machine had built a bridge between nations. The spirit of song was now celebrated on a grand scale. The movement had become a legacy. Music had done what politics could not. The bridge was strong. The true impact of Filipino karaoke in Russia was personal transformation. For many, singing became therapy, a way to fight loneliness and express emotion. An elderly widower found solace singing old songs, inviting neighbors to join. Young professionals bonded over weekly karaoke nights, becoming more than co-workers. Rural communities gathered for song, breaking winter's monotony. Filipino ballads, even when not fully understood, resonated deeply. Karaoke became a tool for resilience and connection. It taught that vulnerability could be strength. The heart had its own microphone. Russia was learning to turn up the volume. The music spoke to universal needs. No one was truly alone in song. The spirit of community was alive.